Hello and welcome to my channel. So I'm coming at you today from my bedroom and basically I just wanted to sit down, chat, talk about my years and basically my past in this industry, as a hairdresser, as a YouTuber, as a content creator. And there's basically stories that I've never shared with you, and when I realized I did want to share this with you, I was wondering like what is my reasoning for this? And I think it's just for the simple fact that I've just always been the nice girl. And this is in no way to put anyone down or to like, name call or anything like that, or point the finger at someone specifically. But this is just for anyone that's starting out. If you are like me, hopefully this gives you either some insight or possibly you just like learn how to approach things a little bit differently. So if you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I've been in the hair industry now almost 14, 15 years, and on YouTube just a little over 10 years. So the first story I'm going to be talking about is the start of my first product launch. You guys remember years ago, I talked about that I was going to be starting a product line and I wanted to absolutely have you involved in the process. I feel like now that is a very common thing. At the time, I felt like this was still pretty new and you didn't see every YouTuber start out with, their own brand. So anyway, I was at I believe it was like a BeautyCon event thing for like the weekend, and then trickling through, there were all these other separate events that you could go to. At the time, my YouTube manager, placed me on this list for this like more exclusive party where there were like really big people in the industry essentially. Anyway, we were just there having a good time, myself and Adam. And basically, one of the managers there was like, oh my gosh, you two are hair people on YouTube. You should definitely talk. And basically, I started talking to this group of two guys, and basically they told me that they have a very successful hair brand. I had never heard of it. Successful YouTube channel. So one was the business partner, the other one was the talent, and I was obviously like really impressed. But I promise you, I always went to these things as like an audience member. The first time I was at BeautyCon and I filmed it, someone in the comments said like, oh my gosh, you like, so it's so obvious you're so jealous of everyone. And I was like, that is so strange that that's what they got, because when I was there, I felt like imposter syndrome. I felt like I was there like watching. I never felt like I was a part of like the creator kind of um field. I mean, I was doing it, but I was kind of like always in my own world doing my own thing. um so anyway, like when I was talking to them, I was really just like, oh, how amazing. Like I want to know what the brand is. And they were like, no, like we're different because we focus on men's hair care. It would be really cool to collaborate. We should definitely, exchange information. Anyway, fast forward a couple weeks later, we were on the phone with them. Then we were on the phone with like manufacturers. And it got to the point that I was formulating my products down to ingredients and how much ingredients would go in each formula. Basically, we were pretty deep down this process. We had already talked about numbers. We had talked about, the how much money we would make, the percentage, blah, blah, blah. And basically they were going to take care of the manufacturing part because obviously they had already started and they already kind of like knew the business and all of that. Like I said, we had talked numbers. I was giving very specific ingredients, formulations. This is what I wanted the product to do. And then when I would mention, I want this ingredient and this ingredient, they would be like, wait, why? Like, why is this ingredient in there? Like, can't we just make it more simple? And I was like, no, that already exists. I'm trying to create, a product that takes care of these issues, and it's got to be clean and it's got to be all these things. And every time they come back saying, well, it's not really like possible, basically they just kind of wanted me to make something a little more simple. That was what I was gathering at the time. And then I was just like, well, if it's not possible to create what I wanted to create, because the numbers weren't necessarily like crazy good in my favor, I just wanted to have a product that I was really proud of. That was my only mission in all of this. And to have a product that I personally used, that I personally loved, that was better than at the time what was out there on the market, like that's what was fulfilling me. So it was great. So we ended up basically only talking to the manufacturing company, or the company that was putting together all of my ideas, and we were no longer really in contact with the two businessmen. Which, I mean, eventually we were going to be business partners, but to me, I thought this process right now is creating a good product. So, I mean, we'll talk to them when the time is right. And then we went kind of like, because at that time, like when we were doing like basically developing the product, it was like a lot of back and forth. And then there was kind of like a couple of weeks where it was like, we're not getting a response. And then we get like an email from the two businessmen. Basically, was like, hey, can we get on a call right now? And then we were just like, oh, cool. Like, this is it. It's happening. Can't wait. And we get on a call with them. They're like, we're so sorry, but this isn't going to work. And I'm sorry. We're just not able to collaborate with anyone. And then I was like, okay, well, I get it. And at the time, I was really like, the numbers just don't add up for them. They were trying to be really nice and trying to get me a decent percentage. And maybe they just realized it's not worth it for them. But then at the time, I was like, they literally are doing none of the work. Obviously, I'm benefiting from not having to do something from scratch, or, finding suppliers and all of that. So I was gaining from that. But like I said, my percentage was definitely low enough that that it seemed like it would still be a win-win for both. So I was just completely caught off guard. At the time, I was just like, oh my gosh, but it was like this baby that I was creating and that was supposed to be for my audience. And I've been talking about it with you guys. So it was just a really weird, like, whoa, where do I go from here? And Adam's like, well, like, this isn't going to stop us. We should do it on our own. Well, the more information we got, this is, again, when we were still living in San Francisco, a tiny, tiny studio apartment, like where we didn't have the money to just fund, a starting product company. And the more we looked into it, based on how I wanted to, really perfect a formula, like it was just impossible, just way too expensive. Everyone at the time was really pushing me to do white labeling, essentially, or a white label product, which essentially is a product that's already made, and then you put your like name and logo on it. And like that's just so not what I wanted. Like that's not ever what I dreamt of. Like that, it just sounded at the time like it was just having a company for the sake of a company. So I was just really discouraged. And of course, I had a lot of you guys ask after a while that I hadn't mentioned it for a long time. And at the time, we were still looking to kind of go our own way and do our own thing. But just with what we could afford, I knew that it wasn't bringing you something that was spectacular and amazing and incredible. And like, if that weren't the case, then what's the point? So then we started looking into something that we could start off like at a smaller scale and then kind of build from there. And then this was around the time where like the YouTube scandals were happening, where everyone was starting a company and then they were having issues. And I just like looked at that and I was like, that is the last thing I want. I don't want a product. I don't want to have what I think is a great product and someone gets an inconsistent item and then, it looks bad on me. Like I was just like, nope, absolutely not. Like screw that idea. Well, fast forward to a couple years later, where I am working with a new social media manager who really knows the industry and not just with YouTubers. Like she started her own brands. And anyway, I brought up this story just because she was like, why haven't you started a product yet? Like, I mean, you've been on YouTube for 11 years, knowing the back end and your knowledge and your experience with products and your want for this incredible product. Why haven't you launched it? And I basically told the story that I'm telling you just for the sake of like, that's where I've gotten discouraged. And then she was like, girl, they used you for your formulations and ran with it. And I kid you not, in the last 7 to 8 years or whenever this happened, I've not thought about that once, except for the fact that that discouraged me and I no longer want to do this. And when she said that, I was just like, no. It's like, when you hear something that's like bad news, but it's like hitting you at a million miles an hour and you almost can't comprehend it because that's just so not how I live or how I am, and rather than thinking that that's like so naive, because and I have been for sure in my industry and in life, I always would, and I feel like the reason why I don't learn or why I don't change is because I would I always want to in life live with almost like that innocence or that purity, because that is essentially who I am. And not to sit here and like pat myself on the back and like I'm such a good person and everyone, is just out for the money. That's not what I'm saying. I've met absolutely incredible, humbling, just great people in this industry. There are good and bad, obviously, in every industry. But basically when she said this to me, I was on a Zoom call and I'm just like, no way. There's just no way. And I was like, no, because they specialize in male hair care, like I mean men's like grooming. There's absolutely no way. Google, and I'm not gonna say what the product that I was creating was. But there it is. It is for sale. I don't know for how long. Um, there's a lot that I can say about that. One thing I'll say, the packaging is awful. It's horrific. We never got to that part when we were looking to create our product. Um, and looking at the ingredients, it definitely wasn't what I wanted. It was like the quick, cheap version of what I wanted that is out there. Sorry, my camera cut out. Very non-convenient time. So anyway, the product is out there, but it's a sloppy, cheap version of not exactly what I wanted. But basically, they weren't even in this realm of category of product that I was creating. And it exists now on the internet for you to buy. So again, the point of this video is in no way, like there's no repercussion. I still absolutely wish them the best. I'm just a big believer in you reap what you sow. If they created a cheaper version, that's what they're going to get in return. I mean, my point in this is I don't want you to try and find out who it is. Well, that's not the point. The point is to just be smart. I will never again collaborate in anything in the industry without an NDA and just having contracts. I mean, it could be your best friend that you're working with. It's just always best to just keep things when it's business. And I learned my lesson. More than anything, I really trust the timing of life. With, a lot of things in my past, there's been so many times that I'm like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Why now? Why here? Why this? And later on, you learn why. And here I am, 11 years after, uploading my first YouTube video. And I'm now a mother. I just look at the world very differently. And basically that whole like almost pressure to create something that vanished a couple of years ago. And after having my baby, I had a need for a hair product myself. And I was like, why haven't I been able to find this like on the market? Like it's very simple. Someone must have created this. And the more and more I looked, it didn't exist. And this was probably late summer last year. And I went to bed with that thought of like, like I should just blend it myself and make myself a version of this. And when I went to bed that night, I was like, wait, if I make this for myself, this is the perfect thing that I can create for my audience. And they've always said the best start to a company is never think of what your audience or your customer needs. Think about what you need. What do you want? Because your customers are looking to you. They're most likely a lot like you. And like I'm I'm getting teary-eyed about it because it was my first year as a mom, and here I am, learning to take care of this new human. And the fact that like I was so busy and overwhelmed with everything, but like the birth of this idea was just like, this is too beautiful and too amazing not to share with my audience. And so here we are a couple months later. We've been working closely with a team to bring you the purest form of a product that I'm absolutely in love with, that I don't know why I didn't think about this sooner. I've sold thousands of products through affiliations, through sponsorships in this category, just not done perfectly. Hopefully in 2023, you will be seeing that from me. And yeah, I can't even believe that I'm saying this out loud because I've been so terrified of even talking about something like this because of what happened years ago. But I also feel really hopeful. I feel like trusting of the timing and of my life and how my career has been. So yeah, for the very first time, I'm sharing with you that I will be creating something for you that is just going to make your hair a million times better in 2023. So that's all I'm going to say right now. Follow me at Sylvia X Reese on Instagram. I'm going to be definitely asking you a lot of like in real time questions just so that I, you know, build this not only for my needs, but I want to include you guys and what you guys want as well, so that this is a mixture of you and me. And yeah, also so you can see a little bit behind the scenes process. But really excited for 2023. I am excited for this. It's going to be completely separate names. It's not going to be Ellebangs. It's not going to be my name. So yeah, there are definitely many more stories I can share on this topic. Hopefully it was interesting. Anyway, let this be a lesson for you in whatever field you're in. But anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for the years of support. And again, I'm like giddy just being able to share this information with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for clicking this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.